go! Hi, welcome to an interview with Danielle Hernandez. I am your interviewer, Danielle Hernandez, and I will be interviewing myself. And I'm Danielle Hernandez, your interviewee. Isn't she a riot, folks? Now, you are here with me, and welcome to my mind hole. It's right by the highway. That's the noise. So, what is Danielle XX? Danielle XX, my one-woman show, where my inner child and my inner adult learn that they need each other to make this human experience worthwhile. My experience growing up from childhood to womanhood, all the adventures and tribulations in between, expectations that I learned would be put upon me versus the joys of the human experience.
I've become every woman that I've learned from, and I've absorbed the qualities of every woman that I've wanted to be. So who else is in there? Zeta. Zeta, warrior princess. Dun, ta, da, dun, 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 dun. Hi! Yes! Oh, I want to be her too.
Hopefully we are all familiar with the saying, monkey see, monkey do. And that's because people tend to respond based on what they've seen, as opposed to act on what we're told to do.
Marriage terrified me. Everything I learned about it made it seem like it was a trap to ensnare women and turn their lives into service. Serve the family, serve the children, slipping back into Cinderella, sorry. The world doesn't trust women, they fear them. Think an empowered woman was seen as a witch, a threat to eradicate. Why? Because she has knowledge and the courage to use it.
When we actively seek to treat each other well, it no longer matters how you identify. Danielle XX analyzes the human experience, how we've been allowed to enjoy it versus information that has been suppressed, repressed, and shamed. Information that is incredibly valuable and fundamentally necessary to live a healthy, strong, and fulfilling life. Danielle, what would you say to people who don't want to inform youths on taboo subjects? Actually, this is a marvelous question because conservatives often have high morals that they want to teach and implement to our youth and to our children. And I agree with that. That this is just as much for my conservative audience as it is for my more liberal audience. Because it's often the methods of protection that we use that work against us. So it's time to try something new. It was only in my adult years that I realized men are way more obsessed with having babies than women are. That's not to say women don't want children, but it is to say that men make the rules and the laws that have indoctrinated the world. I quite agree. Love was one of the very first principles I learned as a child and desired as I became an adult. However, as I grew and learned, I discovered that people's perception of love varied greatly and dangerously. Growing up in Catholic school, I found a lot of people misinterpreted love to actually be punishment. As in, people thought they were expressing love when they were punishing someone else. I'm doing this because I love you.
Not to mention, Old Testament God is a punishing God. The message there is, I love you, so I punish you. We call that an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
Yes.
How many times have you heard that in your life? Have you heard that in your life? It's different for everyone. So, through stories, history, mythology, and my own life experience, I learned that everyone interprets love on a different level, and that we have to learn to speak the language of love. Because right now, we're all using different dialects. Very confusing, lots of miscommunication.
But the Catholic Church has something far more powerful than God on their side. They have guilt and shame. Recipes for devout disaster. I'm down with Jesus and love thy neighbor, but there are some things I take issue with, like our creation story, Adam and Eve. The Bible loves to make examples of their stories, and none more so than these two, like Eve being the cause of all suffering and pain. Thanks, Bible. Teach us to resent women right from the start. I want you to picture this, okay? You have Adam and Eve, two perfect human specimens created by the Lord our God, and they're seeing each other naked for the very first time. Do we really think they felt shame? No! They were feeling each other, okay? They were just like, whoa, hey, I have this impulse to just grab and squeeze you everywhere. Guys, they were two hotties with bodies, come on.
Yes.
And remember, we learn best when we play. So off they go to play with each other.
Everything is a relationship, whether it's business, school and education, family, lovers, romance, friendships, and even strangers. All of us are experiencing life in interpersonal interactions, and all of those are relationships. How can I help other people love other people for the sake of people? Are you concerned that conservatives will feel alienated? I understand the significance of these subjects, and it's because we have so much knowledge available to us that generations, a millennia of people had no access to, which means we have a responsibility to share that information accurately. Danielle XX, my one-woman show, a romp from childhood to adulthood, learning I'm gonna be a woman one day. What does that mean? And all the adventures in between.
There's something about the screaming of men and the clashing of swords. It just makes them feel so alive. Oh, yeah, it really gets them off. I'm gonna be inside you with my sword! Very homoerotic.
Of course, it's difficult to express these parts of ourselves because the generations that raised us were not allowed to access it. But we've already seen what a millennia of repressing this type of knowledge does. Sex trafficking is rampant around the world. Pedophilia is rampant around the world. It's been a huge part of conservative ideals to protect their children through repressing this knowledge. But it's through repressing this knowledge that we leave our children and our youth vulnerable to people who know how to manipulate that. So I actually encourage people to embrace that with this knowledge comes reverence and responsibility to use this information to empower each other, to make better choices, and yes, to protect our youth. So when we teach our youths about these subjects, about the human experience, about sexuality, we give them the tools to protect themselves, to make themselves stronger, to recognize predators, and that's how you disempower them. We've already tried keeping it a secret. It does not work. What does work is treating the subject with reverence and respect, and recognizing our responsibility in what we choose to do. So I'm hoping that with these tools, we empower a whole millennia of people to make smarter choices and to enjoy their human experience while they're here, much more than the people before them were able to. Because we have knowledge. We know how the world works. We know what we need as people. Now, are we willing to give it to them? Thank you everyone who has supported this channel. Thank you so much for having me here today. Danielle XX, my one-woman show, where we learn the inner child and the inner adult must work together for adults and children alike, because we're all in this together and we're not going to get out of here without each other. Danielle XX, coming somewhere more to you someday soon. Thank you everyone who has donated to this project. Thank you for joining me here today. And thank you for giving Danielle XX a chance. Because that's what we all really need in this life. And appreciation. And I appreciate you.